Hello, folks. As I started a few videos ago, I speak about the Romanian folkloric magic, and today I'm going to address the types of spirits and entities that are here in this tradition. And let's see what the tradition has to offer us, because last time we have arrived to the conclusion. It's not a conclusion, it's from the tradition actually that Yelele, the ladies, how are they called? The ladies of the land are the true initiators of this tradition. For example, in the Christian influenced practices, the old lady from the village thinks thinks she is initiated by the Saint Mary from Christianity, but in actuality, it's a form of Yelele that initiates the old lady from the village into enchanting or chanting or witchcraft. Hello, hello, welcome to the chat room. I hope you are learning something today, everyone. So this is a form of disguise because the Saint Mary, quote unquote, kidnaps the soul of the future initiate to the heavens, and this initiatic kidnapping of the soul actually is akin to the Yelele, not to Saint Mary, but because the brain of the last century's witchcraft practitioners in Romania was and is heavily Christianized, definitely they confuse an entity with another entity. But seems that the Yelele do not care if the old lady from the village, who is initiated into witchcraft by them, thinks they are the Saint Mary or something. So this is the aspect of funniness, let's say, from the situation, and this is very common in magic, actually, in witchcraft, folk witchcraft. Here they have many names: the proud ones, the beautiful ladies, the fairies, the saint fairies, the merciful fairies, the fairies full of mercy, the honest fairies, the working fairies, the in Romanian they are a bit different. I will tell them in Romanian also. The king, the queen fairies, împărătesele, vântoasele, the ladies of the winds, drăgaicele, the sweet ones, iudelele, fetele câmpului, the daughters of the land, or the daughters of Shandru. And they appear in certain numbers also. I'm speaking first about them because I see them as initiators of the tradition, actually. So very, very fast forward in Romanian, for my Romanian viewers, they have a ton of names. Mândrele, frumoasele, frumușelele, ăle frumoase, zânele, sfintele, ăle sfinte, milostivele, miluitele, șoimanele, etc., etc. Tons of names. In this manuscript that I have here, which is hard to find actually, there is no such thing in print right now, and actually is not even translated into another language. It's even from old Romanian that is not in that the Romanians do not talk anymore with this accent and whatnot, and they appear as young ladies generally in the numbers of 3, 5, 7, 9, or 12, and they have a stunning beauty. Some of them have wings, say with the witches, and they are dressed in white from above to below. They have armor on their chests and, interesting enough, bells on their feet. So this is the common dressing actually of the ancient Romanian folk witches from a pre-Christian era. Think of this: white from up to below, in a magical enchanted armor with bells at their feet. Bells at their feet to command weather or cast away or exorcise evil spirits. And if the person doesn't know how to deal with them when the person encounters them at crossroads or winds, if the uninitiated person treats them with lack of respect, these ladies will give him a ride, and that ride would need someone to heal the person afterwards. So we have the Yelele as the initiators of the tradition, and they are not quite, let's say, very friendly if you do not know how to deal with them. They are only friendly to certain people. Christians even call them in our Romanian lands, in the folkloric tradition, they are even called the enemies of the land or the enemies of the spirits. Enchantress asks us a nice question. How do we respect them? Through offerings at crossroads, paying them respect with offerings, usually. In the old folkloric magic, we had actually praise songs for them, but Christians made sure that they destroyed those songs. All right, so yeah. Another type of entity is called the Zmeu. Zmeu is like a flying dragon, a flying spirit of fire. I would say it could be the male version of Yelele, and it's called Zmeu. Zburătorul, the flying spirit, let's say. And the Zburător, or this flying spirit, is usually connected with ladies. A Zburător or Smeu. Usually, it's like a succubus or incubus form of a male, let's say, that people need to take care. Usually these type of entities are attracted to dramatic romantic moments in the person's life. So the idea is, if you heal your soul from a dramatic romantic experience, you will not attract this type of entity to you. But if you attract this type of entity to you, you would not know that you've done so. You would not know the symptoms of having such an entity on you. And definitely you need an expert which to deal with that type of entity, let's say. What kind of offerings? A very good question here. Very good question. One of the best offerings would be sometimes of chanting, songs, dances, some sacred art performance done in the woods, done at the crossroads. So zburătorul, or a type of smell, would be after the zburătorul, we have another type of entity. Those are more evil, let's say. The strigoi are called. The strigoi are human spirits who have trespassed divine laws, and they have been casted out from the divine realm, or they have trespassed some divine laws, them or their parents, and they become some kind of hunting spirits that are able to inhabit the bodies of the dead and make them do evil stuff. It can be a man or a woman. And some in our rich folkloric tradition are even born with signs of the body that they can become or be strigoi during the lifetime. Usually a thick layer of skin on the head when the baby is born marks them as a future strigoi, and this strigoi is very akin to what people in the West like to call a vampire. For example, I'm going to give you some miscellaneous exotic information about the strigoi. If a woman gives birth to seven daughters, one after the other, the seventh daughter would be a strigoi female. And this applies to the man also. The strigoi can also be people who have been breastfed and then interrupted the breastfed. Some strigoi can also be born from evil witches or even sorcerers. A woman when is pregnant, also if she drinks spoiled water made with bale witchcraft, negative witchcraft, can also give birth to a strigoi. If cats or dogs are allowed to go under the table of the dead person, also the the person can become a strigoi after that. The children that have evil eye can become strigoi also. Those that do not like tămâie and do not like to eat garlic are also suspected to become this. When they have fully developed into these entities, they are very tall, red eyes, long nails, body has a lot of hair, and they have a hidden tail that is dressed with hair. Some entities have been also seen around the woods with men with like a centaurus type of. So it's not your westernized form of the vampire, that's for sure. Um, the best time Vârcolac is a bit different. With Vârcolac we will deal also. Vârcolacii are actually the werewolf. I'm gonna translate this. So the werewolf actually is an ancient pre-Christian warrior caste that existed in Romania. They dressed up like wolves and did rituals at the moon, and they enhanced their warrior-like powers by practicing shamanic union with the wolf totem. And after the Christians came, those sacred warriors became the so-called Vârcolaci or werewolves. So actually, in actuality, the werewolf is not a bad guy. It's just a warrior priest from the past. Okay? He's not such a bad guy, and that's why the werewolves were known to be enemies of the strigoi, of the bad entities that we mentioned before. So werewolves and strigoi are enemies. Why? Because werewolves were actually a hidden form of ancient warrior priest in pre-Christian times. I actually know of a spell to get you initiated into the werewolf sect, let's say. I know of this spell, and there is a clear practice. I have seen it. It's actually a real spell that survived the centuries. All right, I have come through it a bit, and I know people who have undergone the ritual some years back. many years back. And I actually know I had a person friend many years before that actually encountered a werewolf in very strange circumstances. Anyway, we'll not enter in details in that one. All right, let's move on. The moroi. So we have the strigoi and the moroi are different form of entities here. Um, so the moroi are not strigoi and are not werewolves either. And they have many types of names also. They are also female and males. And this manuscript I have here before me names them as vampires or mora. The morois are the souls of those children who die unbaptized. By unbaptized, we mean the children who have not been baptized, or a connection between them with their names and the divinity has not been achieved. Usually, the morois are spirits who have died of an awful death, basically angry spirits. They yell weird names when they raise from the dead, and the witchcraft or the exorcist or the sorcerer initiated person must know how to deal with them properly by saying back the specific names. You can defeat a moroi by baptizing him, says this manuscript right here. And there is a huge ritual to defeat a vampire, a ritual that actually lasts for, let's see, 7 Saturdays. So it's not so easy. So it's a pretty long ritual to defeat a vampire of this kind. People who have quarreled their relatives during the lifetime, according to this Romanian folk tradition, are said to become moroi after death. Let me explain to you something. The morois spirits are not so obvious in manifestation. They can possess a relative of yours, and that relative can act crazy, and nobody in the family knows why. Okay, so they do subtle possessions actually. The Hollywood types of vampire possessions are not so common, if at all. Another supernatural being, it seems that the Romanian folkloric magic has knowledge of these weird entities quite in depth, and I don't know if I should even mention her name, but it's called Samka. And I bet not many people know about this type of entity in the Romanian folklore. And she has weird names in the recent folkloric magic of Romania. She's called the Wing of Satan. She is one of the most cruel being from all the evil spirits, says here. She hunts pregnant women, usually, and newborn babies. And she appears to the people she hunts as cat, dog, pig, chicken, crow, frog, even fly or spider. And in the ancient days, there were amulets that Romanian used to wear to protect themselves from such an entity. Look, in Bukovina, in the Nordic part of Romania, some people used to write on the home, around the home, between 19 to 25, 24 names of this entity to control it if the place was suspected to be haunted by this type of entity. Sometimes the archangel Michael is invoked against her in some more recent, let's say, chants from the folkloric magic. The origin of the name, the manuscript says, is Bulgarian, Senka, which means ghost. The Senka or Samka can only be casted away by the initiates who can cast away vampires and were born on a Saturday. Only which only the only which car only sorcerers who are born on a Saturday can defeat this very hard to defeat entity. As a coincidence, I am born on a Saturday, and I have done my share of confrontations with evil entities for sure. You say here that is like she's Lilith. No, she's worst. Lilith has a mystical, erotic aspect to it. No, no. This is more like an evil crone, very old evil lady. Nothing erotic about this lady. Trust me. Okay, she's the direct opposite of what you call erotic. Lilith is very enchanting, very erotic. The Lady of the Woods, which is called Muma Paduri, the old lady of the forest, or the fairy forest, the old fairy of the forest, for our English followers here. The old lady of the forest has it's a probably an older form of Yelele, and she has many names also. Păduroaica, Pădureana, the forester, Surata din pădure, fata pădurii, the lady of the forest. Look, vâlva pădurii, pidama pădurii, mama huciului. Black and very ugly, says here. Very, very tall, like an ant. She's like a female ant, guys. Okay? A very antish type of entity. A huge mouth, teeth like very wide teeth, very frightening teeth, with nails as forks, long as forks, and with um, a horse-like feet, and she sings or cries through the forest. Maybe the Muma Paduri is the same with the daughter of the forest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure because this entity is really frightening to see. Okay, she's like an ant. She's like a monster of the forest. She cannot be seen by normal eyes. Someone that has developed and trained clairvoyance can see her. If a normal person sees this entity, is the last thing they see. So she's an ancient goddess of the forest. Very frightening to people that are worshipping the new religions. She has been seen around the Mehedinți place in Romania. She likes hidden places in the mountains. She exits only at night to visit the mountains on the forest, and she has a very unbalanced way of moving, let's say. She is the chieftain of the forest. She is the chieftain of the forest and feeds spiritually the entities living in the trees. So she isn't evil. She isn't evil, no, but she is very frightening. The the forest and the trees of the forest are her children, but she's very frightening though. Basically, it's not your normal old lady, let's say. Okay? She looks like an old lady, but you don't want to mess with her. Okay? And think of this, people are cutting forest and they totally ignore entities like this. Okay? That's why fires happen and stuff. Okay? She sometimes visits families, and the visit is not so great. I'm not going to describe what she does there. Okay? To protect oneself from such an entity, you need 3 axes of iron, enchanted axes of iron. You need to protect yourself from her with an iron object like a sacred knife, needle, or needle or hammer. So basically, you need enchanted iron in different forms of shapes to keep her at bay, not to defeat her or something. No, just to keep her a bit of distance. Look, in Banat, a, a part of Romania called Banat, this lady is seen as a fairy who does well to people. But sometimes she's a tempered, and if people are disrespectful, again she behaves in chaotic manners. So this is directly from the manuscript, from a guy 200-300 years ago, and it says here, in the forest there is a supernatural being who watches over the forest, takes care of them, grows them, and defeats people who kill the forest. So if someone enters the forest with negative intentions, that person should not neglect. That person enters into the attention of this supernatural being. And then, for example, if you enter with a vehicle, it can ruin your vehicle. But if someone enters in the forest with humbleness, she gives them spiritual gifts. Yeah, so actually, it makes a lot of sense. So if the people entering or interacting with the forest are assholes, then she will be a bigger asshole to them. If the people entering the forest are humble, Muma Paduri, will be very generous with them. Well, isn't that how we are? If someone is asshole with me, I will amplify the assholeness back. If someone is humble and good, I will also be good to the person. Okay? So how is she different from me or another practitioner? I don't know. In this regard, I think we are alike here. Tales about her are from Pașcani, Baia Mare, a lot of tales. So, guys, I'm about Mua Păduri, about this forest entity. I can go on and on for 2 3 hours looking at this huge manuscript only about the Lady of the Forest. Is crazy, huge, 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 huge to cover. Anyhow, today we have spent 30 minutes speaking about different types of entities, good and bad, neutral also. So I would say this is it for today. If you guys have any other question at the end of this show, teaching actually, let me know. Okay. If not, everything is well. I hope you enjoyed my live, and see you at my next live. At my next live, I will go more in detail about certain spells done in the tradition, curses, spells, and bewitchments, let's say, and stuff like this. Okay, enjoy, guys. Enjoy a nice day.